Honestly, I don't even know what to say anymore, because after the dry run of 3.8, it looks like Hoyoverse is just dead set on milking every fucking thing in sight. The last few banners felt like a massive corporate conspiracy to give all free-to-play players epileptic seizures, with a series of massive heavy hitters, one after one after one, with 2 Archons back-to-back, along with fan-approved Archon followed by Canon Archon, as well as reruns like Yelan and Hu Tao. But coming back on track, it's 4.1, we're going to jail, Risley is about to bash some heads, Neve might finally show up, Furine has freaked out, and the Genshin incarnation of Astronomia is getting another rerun. Now before I even say anything, if you're one of those people that disrupt the balance of the community, wanna have Kaya's children, make tweets like these, why are you even still here? You all know despite whatever I say, you guys are already the prime members of the Baddie Daddy Club. So yeah, if you just really wanna pull for Neuvillete or Risley later, I'm not going to compare Hu Tao's value for your account with them, because at the time of making this video, I haven't tried them yet. So I'm not going to say anything based on speculations or even beta, because again, I haven't played them myself. So with that out of the way, let's answer the question, should you pull for Hu Tao? Now unlike my Kokomi video, there isn't much to say about Hu Tao. She's a top tier DPS and that's about it. Of course her kit does that statement justice in every possible way. She's an amazing single target DPS that can deal massive amounts of damage. In fact, in a pre-Dendro time, she was considered one of the best, if not the best DPS of the game. Though it is pointless to talk about such ancient times because my god, how long ago was it? In a post-Dendro era where most people are going with Dendro-based teams because for one, they're relatively new and also easier to build. The importance of Hu Tao for your account is questionable. Yeah, I'm sorry this isn't a go for your underage waifu video, but even in the face of this new meta, Hu Tao is still an amazing character nonetheless. Here's why. As mentioned before, Hu Tao is a character that can deal massive amounts of damage when built properly. She especially shines in a wave team. Her kit is one of the most broken and fun ones in the game, with massive scalings fitting for a top tier DPS. Her normal attacks are normal attacks, while her charged attack launches her to the front like a spinning missile, and her skill, which is what you'll be using the most, basically just applies pyro to all her attacks. Yeah, she's C6 Bennett. With pyro on her weapon, it converts physical damage to pyro damage and costs some amount of her HP, with which comes the massive scaling and of course the ability to utilize Vaporize. Just pair her with Xingqiu or Yelan or both and you have everything you need to vape your enemies to oblivion. You can of course also go for just as broken though harder to use, Melt, with Kaya or Rosaria. I personally don't recommend it though. Her burst is a basic spin attack that deals pyro damage while also healing Hu Tao. Her skill costs her HP while her burst heals her. I personally think that mechanic makes Hu Tao's gameplay a bit more intense and somewhat more interesting than just spamming attacks. As for Dendro teams, you can put her in a Burgeon team. I mean, it'll also go hand in hand with Hu Tao main's tendency to keep one foot in the grave, with the other in a frickin' landmine. As for burning, come on. Who the hell uses burning? Though it is possible to use her that way, I still highly recommend a Vape or Melt team if you do decide to go for her. For a Vape team, either Xingqiu or Yelan are pretty much the best in slot options. If you have both, well, great! Put both of them in with a shielder like Zhongli, Diona, Layla, or even Noelle, and you're good to go. And you may think, why a shielder and not a healer? I mean, Diona does both, but Hu Tao's kit is built in a way that you'll likely not want a healer. This passive talent of her gives Hu Tao 33% pyro damage bonus when her HP is below 50%. So you really only need just a good enough shielder just to keep yourself from getting too much damage or dying to get the most out of her kit. Speaking of passive talents, this other talent buffs your team members with 12% more crit rate right after your elemental skill expires. Good stuff. Building Hu Tao as an efficient DPS wouldn't be that much of a challenge right now, since both of her best in slot artifact sets, Crimson Witch of Flames as well as Shirakawa Remnants, are available in the strong box, so you can just exchange your bad artifacts for these without having to farm for anything. Especially since the latter comes from the same domain as the emblem set, so you probably already have a lot of those. Hu Tao mainly scales on HP, so here's another reason why you don't need a healer. By stacking HP, you can make your Hu Tao deal more damage and be harder to kill. To get the most out of her kit, you'll need a decent amount of EM cause you'll be doing a lot of reactions, as well as a good crit ratio cause both Vape and Melt do crit. And lastly, as much HP as you can stack. For this, she is still harder to build than a Dendro team. And finally, her constellations. Well, I guess it's pretty well known, but even if you already have her or not, if you do go for her, I do recommend going for her first constellation. Though she is still great even at C0, well, the way you'd want to use Hu Tao is to activate her skill and then spam charge attacks, which of course cost stamina, mixed with some normal attack. Now, as described, what Hu Tao's charge attack does is it launches Hu Tao way off into the distance, which when fighting single enemies could be a bother. So the way to deal with it is animation cancel, which you can do by either jumping or sprinting right after the charge attack. Now I personally prefer sprint cancel, but it also costs stamina and so does the charge attack. So at C0 that isn't very efficient. Now you can totally do jump cancels instead, but the stamina cost is still a thing. For that reason is Hu Tao's first constellation such a lifesaver. What it does is that the charge attacks does not cost any stamina while inside of her elemental skill. You can just spam charge attacks without having to worry about anything. But that's about as far as I'd recommend you to spend. Now if you're a whale or just really want to overpower your Hu Tao, you can go C6, which many people claim is the most broken C6 of the game, which it sort of is. I still don't recommend it though. And that was everything I had to say about Hu Tao. And here's my conclusion. If you need or want a pyro DPS, you can definitely go for Hu Tao, as she is pretty much still the best even after all this time. If you just love the character, definitely go for her. The most important thing about playing any game is just having fun doing it. So if you love a character, you don't need any other reason. Just go for her. Also, honestly, this game is just built so that you can build pretty much any character to do maybe not as much, but still a very good amount of damage. Like, remember that guy that cleared the abyss with Barbara? Like, Barbara? Seriously, how did he do that? Say, I don't think too much. Hu Tao is a great character, and believe me, you won't regret pulling for her. As for me, I've got my whole strategy figured out. First, I'll pull for Hu Tao, lose my 50-50, because of course, skip both Risley and Venti, and use my guarantee to get Farina, yes, status plus map. Then just save indefinitely till Hoyoverse finally releases our Lechino. That's right. I mean the baddie Momiko. Thanks a lot for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe. And I'm also going to pull for Hu Tao, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.